Hello, everyone, and welcome. We got Johnny from the channel Tarot Oculus here today. Thanks, everybody, for joining. And we're going to be talking about Pip decks today. So we're going to be talking about non-Marseille Pip decks. But I wanted to welcome Johnny because this is actually his first time on the YouTube Live.
It is.
So
it is.
This is a special kind of thing. You know, I'm excited. I'm happy that you're on my channel for your first time going live. So that's kind of cool. So how you doing?
I'm good. I'm yeah, it's just summer and I thought I would I'm actually still at work, but you know, it's really slow here. But I have the best equipment at work, so
yeah, that's
sitting in my office.
I always say I see you conducting your interviews and stuff from work. I'm like, he's got the best job. Let me just say hello to everybody in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
So we got my friend Deanne, Jonathan, Daly. We got Ben from Beneficial Tarot.
Oh, I see everybody.
We have, let's see, we have Gerald, Tarot Stash. Hello, Gerald. Debbie from Aquarius L. And, you know, that's it for now, but it's constantly growing, and I don't know if the notifications went out yet. StreamYard's a bit weird with the chat, but you can always pull up your phone and follow the chat if you wanted to. But it's not necessary. So how long have you been there? Because I'm really surprised that this is your first time on a YouTube Live. So, but you've been around a while. I mean, you were around when I first started. So
no, I haven't been around that much.
You haven't been around? I thought you were like maybe 3 or 4 years.
2017 was when I really started to like produce some content. And I think like all creators, you really you're embarrassed about your original videos. Quality is crap. Your content is crap. From what you know now to what you know then, you know, you're just embarrassed because you're just a newbie.
Yeah.
And I think I've grown quite a bit since my early days. And
of course.
I think we all do. So yeah, about 2017, I started to kind of find a niche and then go with that.
I enjoy making videos. Like I this is I think my first week of doing on Mondays, but I never really had a regular live schedule because I always considered myself to be like a video kind of person. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I totally understand it, but I wanted to do a regular live because I have a interview series coming up.
Mm-hmm. So
what I would do is I would only go live whenever I would do, you know, interviews like somebody like Rachel Pollack or, you know, somebody like that. I wanted to do that live because I was doing it pre-recorded initially, but people were asking me like, you know, it'd be great to be able to ask questions. So I started doing lives for that reason. And I would occasionally go on other people's lives, but this is like my first regular live, like, you know, since I've been a channel, but I've only been a channel for not even 2 years. So
yeah, I'll pop in on live sometimes if I have the time, but I usually don't say too much. I'm usually kind of a lurker.
I know.
I'll pop in and I'm like, and just sit and just listen. Sometimes I'll chime in, but it's very rare. So
Johnny, I really enjoy your channel. I actually watch your channel quite a bit, like especially like if I want to look at a deck before I get it. Like you're very good at doing walkthroughs.
Thanks. I am kind of embarrassed that I don't talk more about the cards in depth. I'm just so excited if I get a new deck to just do a flip through and look at the cards and share it. Because my main goal for creating my own channel was, yeah, you got websites, you got Eclectic, which is a great website for finding new decks. But I wanted to I wanted to see all the cards. I didn't want to just see a few. I wanted to see all of them because there's so many out there and so many. I mean, I've been burned by just buying a deck and I want to get rid of it as soon as I get it, and I don't like it. So I try to. I'm almost like my own guinea pig. And yeah, I've gotten rid of some decks, but I still have the majority of the decks I've bought based on, you know, research and what I like. And the longer I've been buying decks, you really find what you want. Like I love historic decks. I love Marseille decks. And I like ones that stick with the tarot tradition, you know, the
Yep.
hidden knowledge, and not the cutesy ones. Even
Yeah.
though some of the cutesy ones, like the Golden Girls, it's just fun.
Yeah.
And then there's the one that's coming out I'm excited about is was it Mystic Melodies, the cartoon one?
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet.
It's coming out later this year. I just saw it on. Someone got a hold of it. Stephen Bright got a hold of it.
Okay.
He got sent a preview copy or something, and I'm like, I want that.
Yeah, because he has the magazine, Stephen. So
Yeah.
he reviews decks. He was telling me about that when I had him on.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I feel like your videos have like an ASMR quality too, because you have like a great voice for like a very relaxing, very much like Sandra from the Whispering Well. Like it's very relaxing. So like I could put it on at night and go to sleep to it. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm a librarian, so we don't talk too much.
Right.
And I'm fairly introverted until I get around people that I can feed off their energy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sort of it's per the situation. If I know people, I'll tell really awful jokes. You know, I'll be funny. But if it's depending on the situation, you know, I can be fairly quiet, and I'm really an observer.
Yeah.
I take a lot in, and if I'm around a crowd of people I don't know, it does drain me. You know.
Yeah.
Energy wise.
I get it. Well, I'm kind of the complete opposite. I'm sort of like an introvert extrovert. I don't know. I think because of where I grew up, like everybody's just really loud.
Yeah.
Like we were so loud. It's just the way it is. I think because like most of us are Italian from South Philly. Like, I don't know. We talk very, very loud where I come from, but so it's kind of a nice contrast between personalities here. But I love you, John. I've been watching your channel for like a long time, and we did try something a long time ago when I first started. And we just never really connected again. So I'm happy to be able to have you back on for a conversation. I'm really, really, really happy. And I know you're a great collector. You know, you have a lot of different decks, and you like different decks. So
I'm always on the hunt for the unique and the obscure, always. But depends on if, you know, some of them are expensive, you know.
Oh, tell me about it.
And it's like, I wish, you know,
I know.
You know, if I only had $300 to throw down on this deck, and I'm like, I got to pay bills. Can't do that.
Yeah, I don't do the $300 decks. I don't do that. I think the most expensive deck that I have that's not like a super OOP deck.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most I ever spent was probably with Sullivan Hissman's.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of his decks, because his decks are, you know, over $100. In that range, I would say, you know, I of course, like my blue box set me back, and there are a couple of OOP decks that I spent over $100, but like that's why I don't have a cartogram deck, you know, because I just don't, I don't know, like I love Agnes is like one of my heroes. I watch her videos, and I'm just so intrigued with her process, but I'm going to purchase one of her the mass market versions of one of the museum decks, but the handmade like $300, $400 deck, I just can't afford that. I wish I could.
You know, I would love a hand colored Marseille deck. You know, modern but hand colored. But you know, I'm actually I'm working on like a project for myself. I talked about it in one of my I saw my last video. It's sort of a synthesis of 4 decks: the Noble, the Conver, Jodorowsky, the the Ponce Marseille, and the like a universal Marseille from Los Scarabeo.
Yeah.
And finding the differences and choosing what I think would work, and redoing all the majors. And I'm gonna actually, I'm almost done with the tracing and the editing, and I'm gonna scan them in. Then I'm gonna color them in pastel pencil, and with traditional colors, sticking with like 4 or 5 colors for traditional like use. And then I'm actually going to put them on make playing cards, because I want to buy a copy myself.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
want it as a working deck. I mean, I'll have a rough thing, but I'm also working on the back. The back is going to be kind of a different thing, but I'll put it out there if anybody wants to pick it up. But it's
That
really
would be great.
it's really just for me. It's a working
Yeah.
deck because I
Hey,
learning the nuances of the trumps is my whole goal for this. And having
yeah,
fun
it's a
with it.
great way to learn, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
drawing a deck, it's a really
Yeah.
like you notice like the little stuff, and it gets you to think about. You know, I think I spend two days, maybe sometimes three, if I'm like redrawing a trump card, and you
Mhm.
spend a lot of time with that image, and you really like get to know it.
Yeah.
It's kind of a really great way to get to know the trumps.
And and when I was taking art classes, I worked with watercolor mainly, but watercolor is just, you need the right paper. And I thought, I'm going to use something out of my comfort zone, and I'm going to use pastel pencils. I can use oil pastels, but I'm not the best. But pastel pencils and the color blocking used in Marseille kind of lends itself to that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I like the pastel look. I do. I've seen decks with, I have seen Marseille decks colored with pastel, and of course there are many Rider-Waite Smiths. Like I'm thinking about the one by Roberts, Mary Hanson Roberts. That's like all colored pencil. So it's very pretty. Yeah, I haven't done much like hand color. The only decks I do mostly graphics. Like I've hand colored my Boda deck actually, which was a lot of fun.
I don't have one, but it's they're like dirt cheap to get.
Oh, they are. Yeah,
mass
like
market.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to color your own, I think. Isn't that part of the connecting with it?
Yes. Yeah, I didn't read the book, and I know like Paul Foster Case is like the big kind of guy behind everything over there, and I'm told it's very Kabbalistic.
Let's see. I see some questions. It's going to be dry pastel pencils. I bought some Faber-Castell. They make really nice ones. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the I just bought like a pack of 12, but then I had to buy flesh color because I do want to do skin tone on the flesh, because a lot of the Marseille decks actually do have like a pinkish tone to flesh.
Yeah.
And that did not come with that set, so I had to order that separately. But I should be done around September or so. It's a lot of editing because I'm going to be scanning in what I've drawn, and then cleaning it up quite a bit.
Cool. Well, definitely keep me posted on that because I'm very interested, and I have been watching some of your videos. I've seen you, the drawing process. It looked really cool. You were hand drawing.
I like the connecting with it, and the little errors that pop up. I don't make a line perfectly straight. I'm keeping that. I want that.
Yeah.
I'm not using a ruler. I know. That's not me.
I know that's what I'm learning. I'm sort of learning because I do like big bold lines, and my decks, they look meticulously clean when they're done. Like the lines are really, really clean, but they shouldn't really be meticulously clean. I have to focus. I have to get better at doing the broken lines and stuff. But that's definitely. I mean, when you're talking about wood block decks, that's very important. So. But yeah, so I guess we should start talking about the Pip decks. That's what we came here to do. So it's interesting because Pip deck is like a strange term. It's like people seem to apply Pip deck to decks like what was the one we were just talking about? The one by Uzi, the Pagan Otherworlds. I've heard people call that deck a Pip deck. I'm like, I don't know if it's not something I own, but what is a Pip deck to you? What do you think a Pip deck is?
It's kind of hard to say. I mean, obviously, when you're talking pips, you're talking 1 to 10 of the suits. That's your pips, aside from the court cards and the major arcana. A Pip deck can be a little derogatory, I think, to tarot decks. You call it a Pip deck, your Pip to me is like a pawn in chess. It's not much. It's like the one you can just throw away. But there's some really good decks out there that are non-traditional tarot. I wouldn't read with them, but they seemed, all the cards seem to have the same meaning, or that they're the same weight essentially. So 1 through 78, same weight, major arcana. To me, they're all the same. But the pips themselves, you know, what was it? 40 pips. You know, you can pull them out of any deck if you want to just work with those. And you're kind of working with, you know, these little minor cards that are like nuance cards. Maybe not as heavy as major arcana, but you got the pips and you have a lot of nuances. And I think a lot of pips.
I'm guilty.
There's a lot of pips. You know, they're open to interpretation, especially, you know, if they're non-Marseille, because there's lots of different flavors, you know. So whether it's like I pulled 4 decks, and I pulled intentionally 4 very different decks. You know, some pips can follow, you know, traditional, you know, symbols. Some are elemental. Some are all over the place. Some confuse you. So it's, to me, a pip deck is, I don't know. You know, most of my decks I gravitate towards 78 cards, maybe a little bit extra. You know, I love 78 plus, you know, extra cards. But
yeah, it's always fun.
I don't, as a sort of a traditional tarot person. Let's see.
Many says, I'll read it for you. It says, "It is, Jonathan, I agree, but then I consider the Pagan Otherworlds a pip deck, but Justin disagrees, and this is his channel." I do indeed, Mendy. I disagree. I don't know. I think it's pip-ish. I do think it's pip-ish. I don't know if it's a pip deck, though.
It's a beautiful deck. Anybody that's seen Pagan Otherworlds, the art in it is absolutely stunning. And they even have the coffee table book with all the beautiful art. And the artists that put that together and all the different variety in it, it reminds me of the Carnival at the End of the World.
Yeah,
the deck is completely unusable, but it's beautiful to look at.
It's beautiful. I know, that's why I haven't got it. I would never use it. I have too many.
Never use it.
Yeah, I have too many decks that are so pretty that I just never use, and that would definitely be one of them. That's why I never got Pagan Otherworlds. I mean, I always say I'm not a fan of the Pagan Otherworlds. I love what Lucy does. I think that it's a very classy, high quality brand.
Yeah,
I'm very happy with like the Tarot of Errors that I have. I love it. I think that's a phenomenon. In fact, I should have pulled that for this video. I have it sitting right over here, so I could grab it. But that's just such a beautiful deck. I mean, and it's such high quality playing card paper, which is what I like, you know.
Yes.
But I just never connected with the Pagan Otherworlds. It's one of those things that people hum and haw about. Like if I say it, they're like, oh, like everybody loves it, but I just never really connected with it. But I'm happy to hear you say that you, earlier when we were talking, you did say, you know, you think it's beautiful, but it's not a usable deck. So
yeah, I grew up with, you know, Rider-Waite, and then my next deck was what was my next deck? Medieval Scapini. I love Medieval Scapini.
Yeah,
I love Scapini anyway. His artwork is it's funky, but it's traditional. So. You know what? I'm the same way. I don't want to ruin my decks. There's a lot of decks I will look at, put in the box, and I did that with. I talked about that when I did what's the one from? Shoot, the deck I got. It came in a wooden box. It was came from Baba Studio. Their decks are gorgeous. Oh, they do the cold stamping.
You talking about this bad boy right here?
I have that one, but the one I have that exact deck, but it's the one after it with the insect. I mean,
this deck,
Fantastic Menagerie, I think.
Oh, I have that too. Yeah,
I have it in the blue box and in the signed cards and all.
Oh, okay.
Touch that! It's gorgeous.
I know.
I don't want to mess it up.
Guess what? I don't read with the Fantastic Menagerie because it's not. But it's a beautiful collection piece.
Yeah.
But this I do read with, and it's funny about this deck because this is a perfect example. Okay, so this is the Mythical Creatures Tarot. This is a Baba Studios deck. It's one of the most beautiful decks that I own, and it's got to be one of my favorite decks. In the book, it has both Tarot de Marseille meanings by Caitlin Matthews, who's like a big fan of the Tarot de Marseille, and it has Rider-Waite-Smith meanings. But it's kind of like Marseille-ish, but it's not a Marseille deck. It's very much, you know, I mean, if you look, so some of the pips, I'm just going to show for people watching. These are the backs. I mean, the quality of this is just incredible. The paper,
stamping, the cold stamping is just so pretty.
Yeah, and so you have the Nine of Wands here, you know, so it is a pip deck for the most part, but it's just not a. So here's the Three of Swords. You know, you have some images in here. So I mean, it is illustrated, but it's to me, it's see that's the thing. It's like you get into. People are like, oh well, it's it's pip-ish. Well, the Rider-Waite-Smith is pip-ish too, if you think about it, because you have the image and then you have the symbols.
Yeah, you have the actual items, you know, of that suit.
Yeah, yeah. Mandy said something earlier here. She said that Thoth is a pip deck.
Yeah,
you know, it definitely is. And it's a non-Marseille pip. I almost pulled that actually, Mandy, because I was thinking the same exact thing. I was like, it's kind of a pip deck, but there are decks that run kind of like, you know, they're like gray area decks, you know, like this one here. This is the Old English Tarot. This one is. You have this?
Okay, I like that one.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful. But I don't know if I would consider this a pip deck or not, but it's pip-ish, you know, because you have the images up top, but you have like a little sinking ship, so the Ten of Swords, so you know it indicates some sort of meaning. Like it's not a good meaning because the ship is sinking. So
yeah, you don't want the Ten of Swords. You don't want the Nine of Swords either.
Yeah, so I would say this is pip-ish, but it's kind of a tricky term, you know.
It is. Let's see. So I pulled some examples. Let's see. Here's trying to figure out where's a good one.
No, Mendy, I said it's pip-ish. I said it's pip-ish. Yeah, this isn't a pip deck. I don't think it is. I mean, but it's tricky. And exactly. Like everybody's not going to agree with what exactly a pip deck is.
Yeah.
And you're always argumentative, Mendy. So don't blame the treatment that you had today, that you had to take medication for.
So I'm a huge fan of the Tarot of the Spirit, the Eakins deck.
Oh yeah.
It's not a pip deck, but some cards are pippish. So here's the Two of Fire.
That was a great interview, by the way, that you did.
She was lovely.
She seems like a trip.
And so we have Two of Fire. So we have these two distinct items there with sort of these stylized flames coming out. So this is pretty much a stretch, you know. We could, and this is an elemental deck. So Two of Fire, you know, usually you have the batons or the wands are associated with fire, and we see them there. So it's a stretch for being a true pip, but it's still a pippish card.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and a lot of the Kabbalistic decks are.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's another thing. I was like, when I was picking decks today, I was like, I'm not going to pick any Kabbalistic decks because that's like a whole other can of worms. I avoided the Italian decks because like, well, they're kind of Marseille, but they're historic, traditional tarot. Technically, they would be non-Marseille pips, you know, like an Italian, you know, something like, I don't have any handy, but like, oh, this is a good example. Tarot of the Master, you know, like this could be.
That's the Nabi deck?
Yeah, this is the, it's a famous historic deck. It's
Nabi.
The Navy, yeah, or the Nabi.
Nabi, yeah.
Yes.
I don't know why they called it Tarot of the Master. That sort of threw me.
Yeah, it's the Navy, but it's colored. You know, the original, which now the Anima Antiqua series, Lo Scarabeo does. They've come out with an original version, which was black and white originally, wasn't colored. You know, these are just colored, kind of all different.
Yeah, I think it's not out in the U.S. yet.
Yeah, you could probably get it on Book Depository though.
I've never used that site. I've always
free shipping, Johnny.
I go to, where do I go? I mean, I've ordered direct from Lo Scarabeo before. Even because they're not based in the U.S. Usually it's Llewellyn that gets the Lo Scarabeo imports.
Yeah.
And that's when they're available on Amazon usually. I used to use Elita Tarot in Italy, but they don't accept PayPal anymore.
Really?
And they have a huge selection. Elita?
Okay.
ALIDA Tarot?
Yeah, I've seen them. I've been on their site, of course.
Yeah, they're based in, San Marino, Italy, and I've bought from them before, but then all of a sudden, no more PayPal. You have to go through some Italian bank to wire them money. And I just don't.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
I just saw Mindy's comment here, so not that one, Mythical Creatures. That's definitely a Pip deck, Mindy. Come on. You don't think that's a Pip deck? Oh, well, maybe. Guess what? I'm not really an expert on Pagan Otherworlds. I don't own it. I haven't really had a good look through. If the Pagan Otherworlds is like that, then it probably is. You're probably right, Mindy. I don't know. And Ben just said, Ben from Beneficial Tarot, by the way, has a new channel, a really great channel. If you haven't checked his content out, definitely stop by Ben's channel. He does some really good walkthroughs.
Is Ben in the UK?
What's that?
Is he English? He's in the UK?
Yeah, he's a Brit boy. Yep.
Great.
Yeah. And so I've missed the boat on so many Baba decks. Yeah, it's like I did too. I actually missed a few of their the only ones I really have. I have, let's see, I have the Mythical Creatures. I have the one based on the book that you just mentioned, the Fantastic Menagerie, and I have Tarot of Prague. Those are the 3 Baba decks I have. So I kind of missed the boat too, and unfortunately, I'm hearing rumors that they're not going to create any more decks, and that would be disappointing because, yeah, there's just a lot of tarot politics.
I've seen the Tarot of Prague, and I think it was Romantic Victorian.
Yeah, that's the one I don't have.
And then there's the Alice in Wonderland.
I don't have that one either.
Yeah, I'm not really, but the Prague one looks amazing.
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
all their decks are beautiful. I would support their early decks before the cold stamping. I'm not so interested in, but like the cold stamping decks they're just so pretty. I will buy anything they put out that I resonate with. You know what I mean? Just as a collection piece. Plus, like they hold their value amazingly, and so if you ever wanted to part with it and it's out of print, like you'll get your money back for sure. So. Let's see. My sister Neem is here, and she says, so it would be fair to say Pip only has the suits. Pippy suit stands out, but have obvious overlays of illustrations. Pippish, the suits are present, but are balanced with illustrations. Yeah, I think so.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, the absolute purest Pip deck there is like something like this, the Arcana deck. And I mean, like this is as Pip as it gets because it's a playing card. Even the playing Marseille is the same way, but this is a Pip deck.
Yeah.
There's no arguing with that. This is like as Pip as it gets. So this is a very pretty deck, by the way. This is called the Arcana deck, and it's by
is it
it's got that nice, I forget the name of the company.
Is it Theory 11?
No.
Oh, they do really good.
So. Mendy will know. Mendy will know who it is. But it's so pretty. It's Taiwanese, like Pagan Otherworld stuff. It's like very good Taiwanese playing card paper. It actually almost has like a currency kind of. Yeah, like if you ever look at like a brand new $50 bill, that's what the images look like. But they're so pretty. Yeah. Yeah, they have a white version too. Peter Piper picked a pack of Pippi. Yeah, I'm not even going to try to say what he said. So what decks did you bring, Johnny?
So I bought I brought 4 from home just to kind of play with and kind of help me think about sort of the bigger picture. Pippish, mine are not true Pip decks, but they have Pippish overtones, and they're decks that I like and that I could talk about. So
cool.
The Zilich Tarot is sort of I like it because it's watercolor. It's very soft, ethereal. Some of the cards are Pippish. So here's just the Ace of Cups, and you obviously see a cup right there. So it's distinct. But some of the other cards, it's lost. But
by the way, real quick, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but Dead on Paper is the name of the company.
Dead on Paper, okay.
Thanks, Dan. Jeez, if I can get it out.
And so I really like that deck, and it uses most of the ace cards. Like here's the Ace of Swords. You obviously see a sword right there. I mean, the aces, it's more there, whereas some of the other ones, like here, the Ten of Discs, this is not Pippish at all. This is the opposite. It's just illustrated. So it has some in it, but it's not a true Pippish deck. But I love the deck because I think it really if you are relying on pips too much, it kind of weans you off of that. Most of the time I guess the Rider Waite is very Pippish because you obviously see there's 10 swords. You can count the different things. But then, and you see the image, and the image helps you with the keywords. And then you kind of jump to a deck with no pip content, and you're like, it's almost like you take off the training wheels. And I think the Zilich Tarot kind of helps you with that. It's a lovely deck. I have the mass market 10 of it, so the cards are a little smaller. Any that are published in the US Games 10, they tend to be a little trimmed, a little smaller. But it's a great deck.
I've seen that before. I always wondered what it looked like.
I have a video on it, and it's very watercolor. It's very ethereal. It's just a lovely deck. Who's the person? Christina Zilich is the one who created it. It's great. Yeah, it's very soft. It's very non-threatening. Very accessible. It sort of has some feminine energy to it.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's something about like a pip deck that is different from something that's illustrated. Like, obviously we have the in-betweens, and that's totally cool. And like I said, not everybody agrees on the definition of it, but what a pip deck is. But there's something for me about using a deck with just the one I showed you by Dead on Paper, this one. I feel like, with that, it's like, for me, it's all numerology. It's like, it's a very numerology-based reading.
And I admit that numerology is my weakest area. I'm more into some, symbols and connections to like mythology and history. And numerology is something that I really need to improve on, because it is part of the tarot. And that's my weak link right there. That's why I'm not very good with reading with Marseille decks. I'm thrown for a loop. They're nice to collect.
Marseille decks, I mean, you can read it very visually too, though. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be numerology. I know I have friends that do not like numerology, and they love Tarot Marseille. And they read, like, very visually, like Camille Elias, or like an Enrique style, like an open reading kind of method. I use a little of that. Like, I learned a little of it. We had a Tarot Marseille group for probably a year. We met on Saturdays, and we'll probably resume. I'll probably resume that again eventually. But that's one thing I picked up practicing was like the visual reading. I found it very helpful.
I think one of the best books is the Jodorowsky book about, because it kind of accompanies the deck that he did, which is now out of print.
I know. I keep hearing this. Thank God I have 2 copies.
I just have the one.
Oh, I have a mini and a regular size.
Really? So, I didn't know there was a mini one.
Oh, I have the mini. You could probably still get the mini on eBay. Hurry up, get it.
Huh.
It's a shame. I have a friend in France, in Marseille right now. My friend Shell David. He's in France for work, and he picked up one. He said it was the last one in the store.
Wow.
I tried to talk him into getting me one and to ship it to England, but he wouldn't do it, because he said there's none left. So, plus I think it's a nightmare sending packages from European countries now because of whatever's going on over there. Yes, please, Justin. Amber the Page. I don't know what the yes, please is, but
yes, please.
You got it. Yeah, the Jodorowsky deck's one of my favorite decks, Johnny. It's like great.
It's very clean. It's it is one of my favorites. It's based on the Conver, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. It's very Conver. Probably Pierre Madine too. It's very similar to Pablo's deck, Pablo Robledo. Mm-hmm. It's got this beautiful. I know this is a Pip. This is a non-Marseille Pip video, but we're showing Marseille decks because we're junkies.
It's so hard to get away from Marseille. There's something romantic about Marseille.
Oh yeah, the class. Yeah, it's a group. We call it a group, but yeah, we'll bring it back, Amber, eventually. I love this Hangman. Like, I love it. It's so colorful. Such a pretty deck. I love the backs, the purple backs. Love it. I never read his book.
Yeah, the book was thick. It's like, what is it, 500-600 pages?
Yeah, I read Van Gogh.
It's just as thick as the Holistic Tarot book by Benabel. Yeah.
Now, Mendy probably won't like that I said it's similar to Pablo's deck, but it is kind of. It's very similar. I think that he was a student also of Jodorowsky. Like, if you look at the Chariot, it looks very similar to Pablo's. Different colors.
The one thing, so again, talking about Marseille, if you look at the Chariot, with me going through them and tracing, you look at the 2 wheels, one of them's colored spokes and the other one isn't. It's very strange, these little nuances.
Yeah.
The horses, one of them is cockeyed, obviously, but the other one's not. But the wheels are strange. And it's like, why are the wheels different,
Yeah, I mean, that's probably something to do with, like, the dark horse, white horse thing, like the polarity, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
Polarity. Which deck are you referring to? Is that Jodorowsky's or?
The one you were just holding up.
Oh, Jodorowsky, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I never noticed about them.
When you compare other Marseille chariots, it's the same. There's a lot of similarities.
Yeah. Let's take a look at it. Of course, I won't be able to find it now because. I thought you were talking about Pablo's deck. For some reason. Oh yeah, the wheels are definitely different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the horses aren't, which is interesting. So you get that polarity from the wheels and not the horses. I mean, as far as color, but if you look at, like, most of the New Age tarot decks, have a light horse and a dark horse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and that's it's like Robert M. Place talks about, like, Plato's Phaedrus or whatever. When he talks about the soul of will and the soul of whatever. There's a whole big thing of that, and the esoteric stuff.
Well, I mean, getting back to Pips, I'll show another one.
Yeah.
This is from let me make sure I'm saying it right. Japaridze Tarot?
Japaridze, yeah.
Japaridze, yes. I always get it wrong. So not a traditional Pip deck because it's very illustrated, but if you look at and it's elemental, the 2 of Winds. So we actually see a stave and a sword, and you see two sort of bat wings. So you get the visual there. And staves, pretty much preceded swords in tarot, the stave. So it's kind of neat to see that sort of, coming out and kind of there. And then, of course, in the other cards, it completely goes away. So this is a stretch to say it's Pippish, but it is there. You can see them.
Yeah.
And I like the stave and the sword. But then you got the bat wings kind of there, the horns or wings. It's fairly neat. It's a beautiful deck. I love this deck.
I love the back. This is something I've never got because, again, I would never read with it. But yeah, that looks really cool. It's very Celtic.
It is. It's like a Celtic knot. Oh, thingamajigger. It's pretty. And it is completely reversible, which I like.
He's talking about the horses.
The horses do not have back ends. No, it's like they're cut off. They're like stuck to the chariot.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. I brought a deck that I absolutely love, and I think it's like very much. There's a couple of decks I think of like when we say non-Marseille Pip decks. It's sort of what I think of. This is like probably the first deck I think of, and it's the Pythagorean Tarot. I don't have the box, but it's John Opsipos, I think his name was. It's very long out of print, and it's sort of like the Mythic Tarot in a way. These are the backs. Hold on, these are the backs.
Ooh.
And then this is a really hard to come by, this deck, but it's all about Pythagorean numerology. So, and you read in his book is massive. His book is a really big guidebook. It's in depth. So I found out about this in Rachel Pollack's book called Tarot Wisdom. That's the book she says is 30 years worth of knowledge.
What was the card you just held up?
This one here?
Yeah.
This is the Ace of Swords.
A lot of the.
Sorry, it's the ten of Swords. Oh. You see the 10 swords there? Inside the actual. I thought it was the Ace.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of Egyptian themed decks, because none of the Egyptian decks are Egyptian. They're just themed. A lot of them are very Pippish.
Yeah, and of course it has a lot of Pythagorean and Greek stuff. If you like Greek mythology, this is going to be a deck that you would like. Deanne, you probably would like this. Deanne is a big fan of Greek mythology. And, having the great book, it's like, there's all sorts of great stories, and, they link the stories to the mythology. Mm-hmm. Beautiful temperance card.
That is nice.
Yeah. And the best part about that is the book. It's a massive book. And it's not an easy book to read. It wasn't for me anymore. It wasn't an easy book to read. In fact, one of these days I'm going to go back over it. I'm going to do a Pythagorean numerology study, and just go through the book and really kind of work with that deck. That's on my list to do. Hopefully later this year I'm going to do that. It's just kind of it's pure Pythagorean numerology, so it's different from tarot numerology. Mm-hmm. There's some Pythagorean stuff in there, but it's it's totally different. It's not Kabbalistic. So that's where, when I was reading Rachel's book Tarot Wisdom, she gave a couple different numerology systems, and one was Kabbalah, which Rachel loves, and then she mentioned an alternative to Kabbalah is Pythagorean numerology, and she cited this book, and gave all the meanings. 1 is monad, 2 is dyad, 3 is triad, and they all have, and it all links to the Tetactris, which is the 1, 2, like the dots. They go from 1 to 4. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 is 10. So you have, it's a triangle with dots. You've seen it before. It's called a Tetactris.
I think you've lost me.
Sorry. It's just You have seen it before. It did, like, that's the root of Pythagorean numerology. I'll find it here. What other decks did you bring, Johnny?
The Zillage and the let's see. Well, I'm going to pull a card. I should have brought the Medieval Scapini. That one is really a good one to show off.
That's basically the Visconti, isn't it?
I mean, Scapini did all the artwork for it. It's and he even no, it's different. It is different,
okay.
but it's very sort of Rider-Waite based.
Yeah, yeah, it's like yeah, exactly. Okay.
One of my favorite, I kind of pulled decks I really like, and usually it's the ace cards that have a physical, a real sort of pip quality to it, because usually you have V1 for the ace, the spirit cards, and the this deck it's Terror of the Imagination. It's a very sort of artsy deck, not terribly pippish, but it's coming out again this year. It's called the Ferenc Pinter Tarot. So it's exciting. I'm excited it's coming out again, and I think the cardstock's going to be improved. But the Ace of Clubs, or it's a bomb. So we have a club at the top, and we have this floating bomb, just one bomb. And I thought, okay, yeah, it's not a club itself, but what does a club do? And it's like a caveman club at the top. So
that's definitely a cool deck. I mean, that's a cool.
You can knock someone out with that. Well, what does a bomb do? Bomb knocks you out too, but you're probably not going to wake up. The deck sort of skirts around a lot of things, and a lot of the illustrations are sort of loose interpretations, but I just love this deck. It's a very interesting deck. Again, here's the Ace of Swords, and you have a head on a platter. Again, not traditional tarot meanings, but we have that lovely sword, that sort of scimitar there, and the head. I don't know if that's Holofernes or if it's John the Baptist or something.
Yeah.
But it's the artwork. I gravitate towards the artwork. It's quite nice.
Cool.
Here's one.
Yeah, this Garmonbozia, Pythagorean Tarot was his first choice, or was his first deck. That would be an interesting first deck to get. I mean, like if I learned with that deck, like first, I feel like it would have been interesting. But this is the Tetactris. I had to draw.
Oh yes, yeah.
You've seen it before. It's 1 + 2 + 3 + 4. That's like the root of all Pythagorean numerology, and it draws on that a lot. So,
Garmonbozia, is that from Twin Peaks? Is that
interesting? I don't know if I've seen the name, I think, around, but thanks for stopping by. Appreciate that. So Jonathan says, anyone else have Zoltan Tarot? The Mayan. I have that one.
I do,
but I never use it. I never use it. I have it. It sits on the shelf, and it's so beautiful. And I would, you know what, Jonathan? Like, something about the deck just makes me think of you. Like, I feel like that would be like right up your alley. I don't know if it's because it's like you're from the islands, from Hawaii, but which has no relation whatsoever to the Mayans, but it just seems like a deck that you would like.
So Garmonbozia, yes, it is from Twin Peaks, and his name's Eric.
Oh, cool, Eric.
Yeah, the little midget guy in the red room. He says Garmonbozia.
Oh,
he's speaking like backwards.
I wonder if that's Eric from Marseille Group. I don't know if it is or not, but it could be.
I love Twin Peaks.
Yeah, cool. Oh, it's Eric. Okay, yeah, my friend Eric. Okay, cool. I didn't recognize your name, Eric. your YouTube name, because it's not Eric. It's Garmin Bosia 76.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. So Justin, do you have the book? No, I don't have the books, Jonathan. It's on my list. So what I was told about that deck was that it's very much like completely different. It's someone was the reason I got that deck was because somebody told me challenge yourself and do something totally different, a totally different system, like learn a new system tarot. And they named that deck, and I got it, and I was like, wow, it's really, really intense. Let me see if I can see it here. If I can see it, I'll grab it really quick.
I have seen them, Regina. I have, and I'm just not impressed. It's yeah.
I think the books are important because it's like Tarot of the Holy Light. Like, it does have two, and they're super expensive. I know. Like they're on my watch list on eBay, and like I'm always looking out for them, but they're like over $50 a book, more than that. I think it's probably like $100 a book.
I have a question for you, Justin. What would you consider if you had one deck to define a Pip deck, what would it be?
Well, a Pip deck, I would say Tarot de Marseille, because that's the
but non-Marseille.
Not okay. Well, I showed you this. This is okay. Let me show you. I'll show you another one. Tarot of Loco, very much a Pip deck.
I had that one and I hated it. I threw it away.
Okay.
I threw it away on eBay.
I have 2 copies of it. I do like it. The reason I like it, okay,
it's a card game.
Okay. One says the card game. Other says Tarot of Loco. It's very Piedmontese. It's like it has like that, like a Piedmont, like the Piedmontese decks that you see sold today.
Did you get one on Kickstarter and then one mass market?
So what happens is, because we're saps in the tarot community and we pay a lot of money, one is marketed to tarot and is twice the price. At least it was when I bought it. And the other one is marketed to the gaming community.
Really?
It's half the price. Yeah. This one was like $12 on eBay or something, and I bought it. And then the other one was like $30, and I was like, it has a different cover, and I couldn't figure out what the difference was. So I bought it out of curiosity. And I paid the money for it just because I wanted to see, and I wanted to do a video on it. I did a video on it so long. Yeah.
I did a video on it too, and I just wasn't feeling it.
This is like, so the reason I like this deck is I take it down this is like my shore deck. I bring it down the shore with us because I play a lot of card games with my nephew. So as you can see, it's double-sided, like the game Taroki.
Yeah.
It's very, it's a Taroki deck is what it is. But it's like my deck I bring down because, when I'm on vacation, I do like to have a tarot deck, but it also, the court cards are awesome. I love the court cards. So we have, Queen there. The pips are a little, they're color coded. So I forget actually how it goes. I think yellow might be air. Yeah, it's air. So it looks very much like a.
I had a feeling that the creators were not. I don't think they knew a lot about tarot when they created it. They had an idea, and they wanted to gamify it.
Yes.
And they just tacked on tarot to get a bigger audience, I think. Yeah.
Well, probably. I mean, it's like one is the card game, the other is the tarot deck. But I love them. It's the element of fire. Like I love them. Suit fire. They feel nice. It's low Scarabeo quality.
The court cards I really liked. They're very dynamic.
Okay, I'm going to show you another deck that is just like this that you probably never seen before. This is interesting, but I never use it, and it's kind of the same idea. Like you can use it because what I like about that is I could take the knights out and the majors, and I can just like play poker with the rest of the cards. This is Les Fantastiques Tarot Halluciné du Dr. Zariel. So that's the Fantastic Tarot Hallucination of Dr. Zario or something. It's a science fiction deck. And I backed this. Hey, Mario, how are you? Tamaya, hello. Everybody just walking in. So this was a Kickstarter deck. And it's very science fiction based. It's like a 1960s kind of sci-fi vibe, like the mad scientist in the lab kind of thing. And this is what it looks like. So these are some of the majors. It's weird art. It's very strange deck.
Yeah.
But the pips are like this. So, I mean, it's pip. It's very, very pippish.
Yes.
Somebody just drew it up, some artist just drew up regular pips. But it's a Tarot deck. It's used for the game Tarot. So, but you can read with it. It's this, I mean, some tarot readers, and sometimes I feel like I do this myself, all they have to do is just see the name on the card. They don't even have to look at the image, they just High Priestess, you think, hidden knowledge or whatever, however you read it, Yeah, that's an interesting one. It's funny because Alex, my friend, told me about this deck, and I backed it. And after we received it, he had it up for sale like within weeks. He was like, yeah. He talked about how excited he was about it, and then he ended up selling it. Like he just couldn't jive with it.
Yeah. Are you currently backing any right now on Kickstarter?
Yeah, I said I wasn't, but I am. I am backing. So I'm backing this deck by William Rader called the Artisan Tarot, and I actually just got the advanced copy of it today. So I'm going to actually do a walkthrough of that. This is the it's the new Nicholas Colbert by Artisan Tarot.
Yes.
It's really pretty. Yeah,
I watched. He only has a few videos up, but the engraving process was really neat, and laying the paper down.
Yeah,
I really like that. But I saw some criticism that there were no changes, like it's just a copy of it. But it is very. I mean, he did his stuff. It's very.
I haven't looked at it yet. I'm going to do a full walkthrough of it, so I am going to actually do a walkthrough of it, and I'll probably pull out some Colbert decks and do a comparison. Yeah.
I'm excited about the Omni Tarot that I backed. It's very gestural. It's interesting. It's kind of an artsy deck, but I also backed the Lo Scarabeo, the Notoria, and the what's the other one? The Gosha in Light. Notoria in Darkness, Gosha in Light. It's the sort of demons and angels decks from.
I think I saw it, Johnny. I think I did see it, but I think I like.
So I was a late backer, and I wanted the earlier deck, the Notoria, and so I got on, and so I got supposedly I think they're shipping in August or September, but I should be getting both of those decks. I'm very excited about them because I love the artist, Tarot of the Night Sun.
Okay.
Listrani. He also did the Dia del Muerto deck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't care for that deck, but I love the artist. He's great. Yeah, but I'm excited for those two since they complement each other so well.
Did you back the Tarot of the New Incantation or whatever? Did you back that one, the Marseille? It's a fully illustrated Marseille deck, but it's not Rider-Waite-Smith. It's just something different. It's a different system, and it looked interesting. It was a bit pricey because I feel like the guy's from like Scandinavian or something was creating it, and it was just like it was over $100. But I went for it, and it's on its way to me. I think my friend Neen got hers already, as she always does, because she gets everything like not like a little before me. She gets them like months ahead of time because she knows people at the post office, and that's how she puts her mailman in a headlock.
Essence 818. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw September for the U.S. And I do love Tarot of the Night Sun. It's dark. It's a dark deck, but I love it. Yeah, Fabio Listriani. He does it's a lot of his stuff is computer art,
Yeah.
and I really gravitated toward the very cleanness of the Gosha and the Notoria. They just look, and all the correspondences look great.
Hi, Amy. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else I backed. So I backed that one, but I'm really not like going crazy on Kickstarter. Just kind of ones that I sold a Greek deck, but it was Indiegogo.
Mm.
It's like all Greek gods and goddesses,
Hmm.
and it's very Greek looking, like the art.
You know, some people completely avoid Kickstarter, and they just push them out on Etsy. There's some really good decks on Etsy.
Yeah. I haven't been buying much, to be honest with you. The only decks I buy are historic decks mostly now. But unless there's something that like really calls to me, like I've stopped buying Rider-Waite-Smith style decks. I say that, but I just bought one last week, and it was
that means you haven't
an actual Rider-Waite-Smith. It was the yellow box, but I couldn't pass up on that, and that was an Etsy deck. But I tell myself this.
I think what's the date of the yellow box?
It's not an actual yellow box. It's a plastic deck. Okay, I got to show you. Now I have to show you.
Because my first deck was from 1991.
Yeah, me too. That's my first deck.
The Rider-Waite from U.S. Games, and it's a yellow box.
Yeah, you know, it's this is actually it's a plastic Rider-Waite-Smith, but I really liked it because it was $20, and like $20 is not going to kill me.
No. So
I bought this and another one that they had, but it's plastic. I wasn't happy with their Marseille. It's pretty and everybody seems to love it. It's completely plastic, this one.
That looks like a Dirty Pam.
It's very different from the Dirty Pam. I compared it, like it's different. It's same kind of concept, but it's different. A lot of things. Because I thought when I saw it, I was like, did they rip off the Dirty Pam?
It seems very shiny.
It is. It's plastic. It's a plastic deck.
Oh, it's plastic, yeah.
So it's
you can play with it in the bathtub.
Yeah, it's got gloss. It's very shiny. And some people have not liked this at all. Like people have complained about it and they said, you know, it's too glossy and this and that. But I don't mind glossy. I don't. Especially that they're plastic because, you know, I can use this deck anywhere and not have to worry about it getting wet or damaging it.
I've not seen all the angels listed for the Ars Notoria. Yeah, I'm excited to see all of the different ones. So that will be neat. Yeah, the decks, both of them look amazing. There's 2 decks on Etsy. They come from where do they come from? Some other country. Shipping's awful. And I know that Benabel has both of them. She just was talking about them. One of them is like all the correspondences in the tarot. It's like, I think it's Tarot Correspondences. I think that's what it's called. And then there's another one the guy put out, and it's all the Kabbalistic correspondences.
Okay.
Both of those decks are like $60 a piece, and shipping's like $30, but they look nice.
I know it's like, I don't know, like the whole pricing thing. I get the indie creator, and look, like as somebody who makes handmade decks, and like I know what it costs to make a deck. I do, like with good paper and with the ink and my time. I mean, to make a handmade deck is like an intense process, and I get that. Like the handmade products, even hand cut, you know, in a small mom and pop kind of local print shop, I get that it should be. But some of the decks that I see charging $75, $85, $100, I'm like, no, you know, there's no reason for you to charge that, other than that you can charge that and that people are paying it.
Yeah, that's why I decided. You know, I hopefully in September I'll put out the Tarot Majors Marseille only that I'm working on, and I'm just using the make playing cards site because it's the easiest. You know, there's no upfront cost. You just throw it out there.
Yep.
And I just want to order one for myself. If anybody else wants to, that's cool. But
yeah, I'll order your deck for sure. I definitely will.
Then it'll be $200.
Yeah, well, spoke too soon.
Sorry,
I'll buy one.
It's only going to be like 24 cards because there's going to be like an extra card thrown in there, and then like a explanation thing. So, but it's really early to be talking about it. Too early to be talking about it.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Well, I made that mistake because I had a project and I was telling people, and I got really excited about it. And I told a whole bunch of people, and I should have just kind of been a little more quiet about it. It's not their fault. Like, they hear about the project and everybody gets excited. But for me, there was a big learning curve and I want to make sure it's perfect.
Yeah.
So, and there were a lot of setbacks with it and stuff. So that's a whole other can of worms. But backpedal fast, Justin Heston said, yeah. Yeah, it's coming soon though. It's coming soon. Mystic Rose Tarot, Amy asked a question. I'm trying to find it.
Oh, I think the one on Etsy from Sweden or Switzerland. I think so. I think Tarot Correspondences is the one on Etsy. And there's a bunch of decks that the guy has put out. I think it is Sweden or Switzerland, one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in Northern Europe somewhere.
And of course, shipping is crazy. So if I wanted to get a deck, I might as well get the other one, but I don't have that kind of money right now.
Yeah. This is what I was saying. Is there a particular theme that you were looking for in a deck? Amy wants to know. You know, Amy, I'm actually a collector. For me, what I tell myself now is I buy decks that are historic recreations that I don't have because I want them for my library. I love historic decks. So Tarot de Marseille, I'm in a really like big Italian deck kick now. There aren't that many Italian decks, not like the French decks. Like, there are so many more Marseille decks than there are Italian decks. You only have a handful. You have the 15th century decks, like the the Rosenwald and the Budapest. And then you have the Visconti Sforza, which are the hand-painted ones. So the printed ones, they're like small handful. Then you have the Visconti Sforza, the Brambilla, and all of those ones. And then 16th century, there's almost nothing, really. I mean, there's very few. 16th, 17th century, you have like the Vandenborg and all those. I want all those decks. You know what I mean? I want them. I'm a collector. I want them. As far as reading, the deck that I read with mostly lately has been the do I have it around here? Tarot of the Abyss. I love this deck. I've been reading with this almost every day.
I do not have that one.
Oh, it's great.
Why do you like that one?
The images are so. First off, it's a black and white deck, which is insane for me because I don't really read the backs. I like it because it's the same exact card stock as the Centennial Rider-Waite-Smith, and it just feels great in my hands. Number one, and number two, the deck, the core cards are amazing. Let me just show you something. I mean, it's a very smart. This is Anna Torin, and I was never a fan of hers because I didn't know her work, but I'm now a fan of her work because this deck is it's great. It's art. It's Rider-Waite-Smith, but it's just visually a stunning deck, and there's a lot of really cool symbolism in it. I like this. Chris Kelly and I were talking about this image the other day. The Four of Pentacles. Like he's sort of hiding behind a pentacle, sort of like. Chris was saying, and it made a lot of sense to me. It's like, he's wearing his possessions. You know what I mean? He's hiding behind his possessions. He's like
you drive a Mercedes, but you live in an apartment with,
Yeah, I guess it could be that. It could be that, but it could also be like, your possessions shouldn't define who you are, or something like that. Like it's just got a lot of that, and it's a really beautiful deck, and it makes it's the kind of deck that makes you really think. And I open this book a lot, like go to reading, and I've learned so much already. It also has two 10 swords. So it has a 10 of swords, like I have to find the other one now. But this is, of course, a traditional 10 of swords, which is like, not really good. And then there's another 10 of swords, which is about knowledge, fulfillment of knowledge. Yeah, it's like very numerological. It's like the completion of knowledge. Hold on, I have to find it now. I hope I can find it. This is another one I like too. 6 of Cups.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So it's like, still kind of, it's more memories than nostalgia. You're thinking of the situation.
I do see cups though. It's Pip.
Yeah, a little bit. I know we veered off course, but who cares? We're talking tarot now. I knew that was going to happen anyway. I want to find that image because it's going to be the last one I look at. Here it is. Okay, so this is the second 10 of swords. It's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful image. And I like that it has 2 10 of swords, and I keep them both in there. I don't take them out because it's just. I like it. I like that it has 2 3 of swords too. It has a heartbreak one, and it has sort of a knowledge one. Oh, she was talking about the eye. Oh, I was like, yeah.
Does anyone know who the artist is?
I have no idea.
I do.
Who is it?
It's Magritte.
Who is it?
Renee Magritte.
Oh, I'm not familiar.
Yeah, he's everybody, Magritte.
Okay. I'm not. I don't really have like a knowledge of art. I was a late bloomer to appreciating art and getting into art. I was more of a music fan growing up. I was a musician, and I was raised by an artist, but I was basically told I wasn't able to draw, so I kind of.
Everybody can draw. No.
I know.
Everybody can draw.
Because I was raised by a professional artist in some capacity. I was like, kind of.
Yes.
I just thought I wasn't that kind of person, and then getting into tarot has actually changed that for me because being around a lot of artsy people has, made me get in touch with my inner artist.
So, Magritte did do the Man with the Apple, like the men raining, and very surreal, very neat. There's no Magritte tarot though, and there is a surrealist tarot coming out from Lo Scarabeo, but I saw some of the images and they're not. They're in the vein of an artist, and that did not appeal to me whatsoever. Like, you have a Dali, but it's not Dali. It's someone recreating something that could be a Dali, and then you have some Magritte, and then you have some Frida Kahlo thrown in there, and I was excited about it, and then I realized it's someone recreating stuff that in the style of, almost like when you go to Panera Bread and you see all the paintings and stuff around. Yep. They look like famous paintings, but they all have bread in them in the style of. So that turned me off to that deck. But
yeah, I feel like I like surrealist art.
Yeah, I love surrealism. It's awesome. But a lot of surrealism dealt with, sex and death, and it was very very misogynistic. There weren't a lot of women in the surrealist movement. And the few women that there were, a lot of them were just, you had Frida Kahlo in Mexico, and then you had like Merritt Oppenheim, who did the teacup that with fur, and then the spoon they're all fur. Who would put that in their mouth, But yeah, that was surrealist.
How about the woman who did the tarot deck? She was very surrealist, also from Mexico. Rachel did the book.
Carrington.
Yeah, Leonora Carrington. Rachel told me that in the interview, and I didn't know who she was.
Leonora Carrington.
Yeah, well, I showed her the Le Tarot Noir, which she loved. I gifted that to her because she loved it so much. I was like, I'm going to send you a copy because she just really loved it. She was like, it reminds me of Leonora Carrington. That's something we missed getting that deck. Did you get that or no?
I did.
You did?
And when you open it, it's scented. It is ridiculous. And it's just the major arcana, but they're beautiful.
They are beautiful. Oh, that's good. I did talk to the curator over there, the museum person, and they said that they were going to possibly do another run.
Yeah,
so,
it's out of print now.
Yeah.
And there was even a special edition. I think it was called the Silver Star Edition. I did not get the book. The book is also out of print now, and Rachel did the book.
I know. Did she do the book, or did she do a magazine write-up of it?
No, there is a book that accompanies it.
She did the book? Okay.
It's called the Tarot of Leonora Carrington. And she also did like a small insert for just the tarot cards themselves.
I know she did something with a magazine, write-up with a magazine with it. I don't know that she might have contributed to the book. I don't know. Going by memory,
you could get, when you order them, you could order the just the book or just the tarot set, or you can get both. And I think she did do the whole book.
Regina says there is the Dolly Tarot, but I don't know much about it. Yeah, I have the Dolly Tarot. I have that big one, and I never use it. I never part with it though because it's.
I have it, but I don't care for it. I mean, the Dolly, his signature is all over it. It's just.
Yeah. He's a character, wasn't he?
He was narcissist and yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
I used to really like him, but then the more you read about him, it's like
I know. Well, a lot of great artists are very much like that, like you hear about their other side and they're very narcissistic. Happens a lot.
Yeah, let's see. Oh, she is included in the book. I think it's a bunch of essays.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy Rachel's books always, and anything she writes, I usually read. I've been trying to get into her fiction. I actually have one of her fiction books on my Audible to listen to, but I haven't.
Which one?
Okay, so it's not Godmother Night. It's one of the other ones. Godmother Night was the one she won the award for.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty well-known book. Not Child Eater. It's like one of those. It's after Child Eater. I forget the name of it. But it was actually very inexpensive on Audible, so I bought it. Yeah. Did you bring any other decks with you, or did you go through them all?
Yeah, I think I kind of. Maybe there's okay. I'll pull another one again from Tarot of the Spirit. It's the Ten of Earth, and usually it's discs or pentacles. And this one, you have them here. I love the colors, and you see the 10 represented by the stars, and you have this great sort of image there. Pippish, it's not like in your face, but they're there. You can count the little stars.
Yeah.
And here's another one. The 9 of Wind, which of course is swords, and you have 9 swords down there. You have a little scene up at the top, and then the swords down there. So I thought that Tarot of the Spirit is Pippish. At first I was like, yeah, but then I looked more and I'm like, it is.
That is what it's Tarot of the Spirit, is that?
Yeah. The Eakins. Yeah.
Yeah, Eakins. Okay.
Yeah. 3 of Wind. You got 3 swords. They're there.
Yeah, it's very Thoth-ish kind of. I mean, it's Kabbalistic.
It is. And then some of them are not Pippish at all. They're really like the 9 of Water. So you don't see cups anywhere. But you got 9 circles.
Yeah.
So you have the representation there.
Yeah.
And it is very Thoth. It's a very Thothish.
I haven't really gotten into like the Kabbalistic decks really. There's some that I really love. Like I like the Gil Tarot. I like things by the Golden Dawn and the Young Tarot. Who did the Young Tarot? Who did the Young Tarot? What was his name? Robert Wong. I like his decks. I like Robert Wong's decks.
Yes.
But that's really it for Kabbalist decks. I was getting very into Kabbalah for a minute, and I was like, I never intended on becoming a Kabbalistic kind of reader. I just thought as layers it would work well for me. You know, learning little bits, just like learning bits of astrology, even or anything else. It's like it's something that just comes to you in a reading. It's something you know that comes to you in a reading, and you're like, okay, you know that. And I thought Kabbalah would add a nice layer, but I wouldn't be like, you know, like some of the Thoth readers are very, very ideological. They're very like, you know, it's the only way to read.
Yeah, and
I could never be like that.
In Kabbalah-based decks are very, you know, I think they're a lot more complicated than, you know, the traditional. It's like an extra layer.
Yeah.
You know, extra layer. You know, you got Sephiroth, you got numerology, you got, it's just.
Yeah, and they study that for years and years. I mean, that's like a philosophy. It's a way of life, you know. And it's just not. I mean, I'm not ever ruling it out. I was reading Rachel's book on the tree. I have to finish it. I read a good portion of it, and it was very interesting. She told me she never wanted to write that book. In fact, she felt like she didn't have enough knowledge on Kabbalah, but the creator of the tree, who also did the Handle, Herman Handel, he came to Rachel and like insisted that she do the book on the Tree of Life because he thought that she was the only one who understood his art. He like loved her, and that's why she did the deck too. So. Decks that have some pips being pippish and others fully illustrated within one deck bother you. No, not me.
Yeah. I mean, because each deck has its own flavor. You know, I appreciate it for that. You know, and some, I think I gravitate towards more pip-ish decks than pip decks. Myself, because I think you can see a lot more stuff in a pip-ish deck. I don't know. That's just my thought.
Jonathan loves Tower of the Spirit.
Yeah, mine has that clear Kabbalah tree too, and it's with my interview with Pamela. On my
Which is great, by the way. Check it out. It's
when did I do it? I did it October, November of last year. You know, it was about an hour-long interview with her. I had to wrangle her to get the interview. Kind of. She's like, "Why do you want to interview me?" You know, and I was like,
"She seems eccentric."
It was
in a good way. I mean, in a good way. Like
she
seems very eccentric, very intelligent, but eccentric.
Yeah, amazing to talk to. The story of how she got into tarot it gives you goosebumps, really. And she pulled a card for me, which was like, oh my God.
I know.
It's like having like I don't know, Madonna sing a song to you, you know, kind of like.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Believe me, I do.
It was really neat, and her whole talking about working with her mother. Her mother did all the paintings, and how they came to do that was really neat. I even burned the interview onto a DVD and showed my grandmother.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
Because she doesn't have the internet, but I'm like, I'll show you. She liked the story about how she got into tarot. That was pretty cool.
Does your grandmother read, or is she into tarot?
No.
That's cool.
I just wanted to show her something that I had done that I thought was really neat.
I would have done the same because I love both of my grandmothers are passed, but Stephen has grandparents that are in their 90s. Well, his grandmother's in her late 80s. His grandfather just turned 90. He's actually older than 90. I think he's like 91 now. But they live right up the street, and I just love them. I love having. It's like I got grandparents again, and I just really. I had a very close relationship with my grandmothers, both of my grandmothers, and when I lost them, it was very hard. Plus, I had another kind of grandmother she was more than a grandmother. I almost had two mothers before it was fashionable. My mom was divorced from my dad. He died pretty young anyway, and there was a woman who was my grandmother's really good friend and neighbor, and she just took a liking to my sister and my mom. They met in like 1979. She moved in with us like by like 1981, 82, and she raised me. So it's almost like I had two moms. It's interesting.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So Tamaya was saying she read with the Guild Tarot for over 30 years and read professionally. Use it for over 95% of client readings. I like that. I do like the deck. I don't read with it that much, but I do like it. It's interesting.
Is the Guild Tarot still in print?
Oh yeah, you can get it. Did I pull that one out? I don't even know if
it's sort of like the Morgan Greer and the Aquarian. It never goes out of print, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think I know it was out of print for a minute. Oh, here it is.
Yes. Guild Tarot, yes.
Very beautiful rainbow in the front. That's the back. Reminds me of Robert Wong's
yes,
art. Reminds me of where Robert Wong's art. Yeah.
The Golden Dawn, yeah, it does look like that deck.
And so these are the backs. Very pretty Kabbalistic tree of life. And the cards are interesting. So I mean, I don't know if you can consider this a pip. Probably a pip deck. You
got a sword there. It's,
Yeah, it's sword and then the number 5.
There's 5 swords. I see them.
Yeah. So here's the world. Very pretty deck. Very thought-ish, change.
I like how the number is like in the center, like bam, there it is.
Yeah, there's another deck by Samarame. The Samarame Tarot, I think it's called. That's her name, and I think it's her deck, but it's a make playing cards deck. And she does like something similar with the pips, where she puts the Arabic number on there. That's a cool card. Yeah, the Arabic number and then like a sword or something. That's an interesting deck too, because that's very like Eudes Picard, Elias Levi kind of, like the Fool is between. I think the Fool is like between Judgment and the World, so it's card number 20, I think, 21 even. Yeah, it's interesting. But there was one other deck I wanted to show really quickly with pip decks, and I've showed this on my channel before. It's the Eudes Picard deck, and this is a really great example of a pip, non-Marseille Pip deck.
You commented that I should get it, and I ordered it finally. And it's funny. The majors are they look like garbage.
Oh, you don't like them?
No, they're awful. That's
really?
The minor
it's a historic deck, Johnny. It's not like something.
But the minor arcana are lovely. I love them.
Yeah.
I think the artists put more effort into the minor arcana than the major arcana.
Yeah, I think what happened was, I think this is okay. So this is let's show everybody what you're talking about. So this is one of the major arcanas. This is the devil. Johnny doesn't like it, but you have to realize, okay, this deck was made by Eudes Picard. This is pre-Rider-Waite-Smith. This is like Elias Levi times, like just after Levi, and it's one of the first. So you had Oswald Wirth, who did all the majors. He was the majors only guy. Oswald Wirth didn't want to have anything to do with pips. Eudes Picard came along, and he was the first person to develop a pip system. way before Nap, like before Nap Hall, before Rider-Waite-Smith, before Crowley. And so what I like, first off, the swords are the element of water.
Yeah, they're all
very, very interesting.
Very different.
The reason they said that. Go ahead, Johnny. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they explain the little flimsy booklet that comes with. It's more aligned to what traditional Arabic, the meanings, like associated with the elements.
Yeah, I just remember reading that swords were water because of tears.
Because of tears?
Because of all the tears. Yeah. I don't know. I think it has something to do with playing cards myself. Like I think it because it's the Spanish system. It's this. So El Gran Tarot Esoterico, even the Boda deck seems to use this system. Okay, so now this is why I like it, because I don't care that cups are air. I don't care. I look at that and I say that's the element of air. It doesn't matter to me that they're cups, but I see four objects, which is like a stable base, and then you have the 5-pointed star up top, which is like some kind of growth.
They throw like a butterfly or a bug in there to also associate it with air.
Yeah, so that's air. When you look at that, it's air. It doesn't bother me that cups are air. It doesn't. You can look at this and say, hey, it's earth. That's earth. So this is the ballet. This is the page of coins. And this is an important historical deck, which is why I like it. The majors, I mean, they're not going to be like something that's engraved, because this is a drawn deck.
I love the faces.
I like the majors. I don't mind them. I don't mind them at all. I mean, it's different, but I get why you don't like them. And so you have a lot. So that there's another deck too, which is the Universal Worth Tarot, uses this system. So it's interesting because Oswald Worth was like the first esoteric tarot person. He was a student of Eliphas Levi, and then you have Eudes Picard, who came along with sort of the same idea, but he developed a PIP system. Well, Universal Worth Tarot took the two pioneers, Eudes Picard and Worth, and they combined them to make a deck, which I'm not crazy about that deck. I don't even own it, Universal Worth, but I've been tempted to get it just because I like the pips.
I think I do have it. I know I have some of the I have the Worth, the French editions, the first and the second, the ones in the, like, they come with a book. But I think I do have Universal Worth, because it has who's on the front of it? Oh, there's one card. It has interesting kind of gold colors in it. That's being reissued this year. There is a Worth deck that is coming out from La Scarabeo.
I mean, I love that. I mean, if you can't tell that that's the element of water,
Yeah, I love the
swords, but it's water
under the water. Or is it? No, it's the sun under the water, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the moon up top.
Moon in the sun, yeah.
And then you have you have 3 coming out of the 4. It's like growth from stability. Something like that. Which is an interesting. Something I remember Kelly Fitzgerald talking about with. Sevens, like some kind of growth from stability. I love this. This is beautiful. I mean, so again, it's swords, but it's very watery.
And you see water lily pads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this deck. I absolutely adore it. Here's just to make you go crazy.
It's got a funny little bird though.
Oh, you probably cursed me when you got it. You're probably like, he said I would like it.
No, I got it for historical reasons. It wasn't, you suggested it, and then.
Yeah, I mean, it's an important historical deck. It's kind of like having the Oswald Worth. I never read with my Worths, but I use them for study sometimes. I will pull them out, if I'm like, sometimes I read the book included, and I just like having a copy of the Worth. I think it's an important deck. I'm a student of tarot history, and I like having it in my deck library. It's a very important deck for me. And I actually have both. I have actually I have a couple worths, but I have one, the very early version, and then I have a later version.
Do you have the French ones?
The French ones?
Yeah, there's a reproduction of the first and second editions, and like
yes,
they come with a book. It's all in French.
Yeah, that's like, what's the name of the company? I forget.
I think it starts with a D. I think
that's right. I think they're the best around. I mean, aside from Marco Benedetti has a gold foil printer, and he does a very pretty.
Yes. Yes.
You know, Oswald Wirth, the Golden Edition. I would love to get that.
I have the Los Scarabeo Golden Wirth, and the cards are oversized, and they have that sort of gold foilish, that holographic one. That's a cool deck.
Well, this was fun, Johnny. We've been talking for a while. I mean, it flew by. I'm glad I had you on today, and I hope to do this again with you sometime. Really, I mean, it's been a pleasure. I'm glad we finally reconnected and did this, and you know, it's just been great. So we'll have to do it again. But
and anybody that hasn't seen my channel, Tarot Oculus, on YouTube, I got quite a few videos. Most of them are flip throughs and some other stuff, but I've been working on a project, so I talk about that in my latest video. But please check my channel out.
Yes, definitely check out Tarot Oculus. I linked it in the video description.
Thank you.
And he's got a ton of walkthroughs, very, very thorough kind of walkthroughs. Been watching his channel for a long time, and I just really appreciate you, my friend. And I want to thank everybody for stopping by. Yes. Is there anything that you want to announce, or any interviews or anything coming up, Johnny?
I have not. I might have a couple interviews coming up with some creators, since I sort of partner with Red Feather, the publisher. I have a few things that sometimes I like to go after the creators and talk to them, as well as, you know, if I get their decks. So I have a few. I'm always doing reviews for them. They send me good stuff, and I try to do my best with it. So I try to connect with a creator. So I might have a couple interviews coming later this year with tarot deck creators.
Good, man. Good. Yeah, I have an interview series coming up myself in the fall, and I'm excited about that, which is why I'm doing a regular live. I'm going to try and keep it going, see if I can keep the rhythm. But I won't. I'm doing a lot. I think next Monday I'm going to be with Jilly from Little Zen Crone. Our lovely Jilly, I think, is going to come and visit me on my channel, and then the following week is going to be the 2nd, so I won't be doing a live, and that'll be a bye week for me. But otherwise, Monday night seems to be a good night for me for now. So I think I'm going to try and stick with it and do some interviews and stuff. But thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you so much, Johnny. Visit Johnny's channel, Tarot Oculus. It's linked below. Thanks again, everyone. Hang in there, Johnny.
Thank you. You too.